Okay, we're going to be subtracting fractions. So the first step we want to look at, it's always good to line them up vertically like this. And we're going to look at the fraction and ask, do we have a common denominator? And in this case we have 8 and 2, so we don't. And we can see that 2 is a factor of 8. So I would only have to change one of my fractions. So I need to make 1/2 into eighths. And I do that by multiplying top and bottom by 4 over 4, because this is just the value of 1. So it's not going to change. So we're going to change what 1/2 looks like, but not the value of 1/2. So I have 1 times 4 is 4, and 2 times 4 is 8. So then I'm ready to subtract 6/8 minus 4/8, which is 2/8. And 9 minus 2 is 7. And now I'm going to ask myself, is my fraction piece simplified in lowest terms? I might need to make an equivalent fraction. And I can see that the top and bottom numbers are both even numbers, so I know at least I can do divided by 2 top and bottom. So divide both top and bottom by 2, and it's 2 over 2 is 1, so I'm not changing the meaning of the fraction, but rather an equivalent fraction. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my total answer is 7 and 1/4. Okay, if I have something like 9 and 2/3 minus 1 and 1/3, you can see, do I have an equivalent fraction? My common denominator, I have a common denominator of 3, so I can go ahead and start subtracting. 2 minus 1 is 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. Then I look at my fraction. Can I reduce this? And I cannot, because both 1 and 3 are prime numbers, so I know that I'm finished, and my answer is 8 and 1/3. If I have a problem like this, 7 and 5/8 minus 3 and 7/8. I look, do I have a common denominator? Yes. And then I look at 5 minus 7. I know that I can't do that. This number has to be bigger if I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to use the same method as when I use, or just using a basic whole number subtraction problem. I have to borrow and regroup these things. So I'm going to borrow one whole from this. Okay, so I have 1 I'm going to bring over here. And since I'm in eighths, I'm going to make sure that my one whole is going to look like a fraction. Okay, and that fraction is 8 over 8, because that equals 1. And I have to add it to my previous amount. So just like when I subtract with whole numbers, I'm going to add that. I would add a 10 to whatever's in the ones place. I'm going to add the 1 to whatever's in the fraction. So now I have 5 plus 8 is 13. Now I can subtract 13/8 minus 7/8. So 13 minus 7 is 6. 6 minus 3 wholes is 3. Now I'm going to look, can I simplify this fraction? And I can. I can make an equivalent fraction by dividing top and bottom by 2, because they're both even numbers. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my total answer is 3 and 3/4. Okay, I'm going to do put some fraction problems on this paper, and then I'd like you to try them. So I'm going to write them out, and you can do those. Okay, so push the pause button so that you can work out the problem, and then push play to find the answer. Okay, so hopefully you had time to work that out. And I'll go through it. 1/4 minus 1/4. It's just like saying 1 minus 1 or 10 times minus 10. It doesn't matter. Whatever the number minus itself is always going to be a 0. 12 minus 6 is 6. So I don't need to really write this down. My answer is just simply 6. Okay, this is our next problem. 9 1/6 minus 1 1/3. Push pause and work out the problem. And push play when you're ready to come back. Okay, so we're looking at, always our first question is, do I have a common denominator? And I do not, but I know that 3 is a factor of 6. If I were to count by 3's, 3, 6, 9, 12, I hear 6 in there. So I know that I only have to change this one because this is a factor of 6. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2 because 2 times 3 is 6. And now I'm ready to subtract. So I would say 1/6 minus 2/6. Then I would go, wait a minute, I cannot do that. This number is too small. I need to make it bigger. So I'm going to borrow 1. And my 1 is going to look like 6/6. And I'm going to add it to what I already have. So I have a total of 7/6. Okay, then I'm going to say 7/6 minus 2/6 is 5/6. 8 minus 1 is 7.